Good morning, friends, and welcome back to Miss Amber's house. We are going to do some science today, so I hope you are ready and you've got all your science equipment together. I have a lot of stuff today. What do you see? Maybe some of these things look familiar to you because we have them in our classroom. And some of these things maybe you've never seen before because they're from Miss Amber's house. We have a big pitcher. This one's full of water. And I drew this beautiful ocean landscape. There are a few words on my ocean landscape that I want to talk to you about. You might know them. You might not. That's okay. Today we're going to experiment. Just like when I did my lesson about bird beaks and I put some grape tomatoes in my water and I pretended like they were fish. Some of the tomatoes went straight to the bottom of the bowl and some of them kind of stayed on the top of the water. I don't know why they did that. But I do know that when something goes right to the bottom of the water, we call that sinking. It sinks. And when something stays on top of the water, stays suspended by the water, it's floating. So today we're going to talk about sink and float. Can you think of anything that floats on water? Since we live at the beach, sometimes I see people go into the water on these boards and they ride the waves. Their surfboards are floating on the water. But not all boats stay on top of the water. We have some big boats that go under the water and sometimes they have a little periscope. Someone in our class even has a dad that works on this kind of boat. They're called submarines and they sink right to the bottom. They don't float on top of the water like most boats. They go underwater to explore what might be on the ocean floor. So today we're going to see what we have around our house. Just do some exploring, look around and collect some things. I have all kinds of things here and we're going to see what sinks and what floats. So I made a prediction. When you're a scientist, you need to make a prediction. What do you think will happen with all of these objects? Do you think all of the objects will sink? Do you think all of the objects will float? Maybe some will sink and some will float. So I made a list of what I thought. These are my predictions. This side says sink. These are the things I think will sink. This side says float. These are the objects I think will float. For sink, I put rock, lemon, screw. For float, I have strawberry, magnets, sponge. So now we're gonna see what happens. But first, I need to fill up my bowl of water. If you put too much, that's okay. You can pour a little out. Oh, and what happens if we spill? We clean it up. So I have a little rag here, or you can use a sponge, but I'm gonna use my sponge for the experiment. So I'm gonna clean up my spills with my rag. I made my predictions, but I also wanna have a chart for my information once we do the experiment. I made one that looks like this. It says sink and float. Kind of like my prediction chart. It's called a T chart because it looks like a T. But I thought that my friends might think that's kind of boring, so I wanted to come up with another exciting way to show this information. So I also painted a little ocean scene, and I labeled it sink and float. And then I drew a little line in the water to make sure I know where my separation is. So once we do our experiment, I can write on my chart, or I could draw pictures if I don't know how to spell a word. And then I'll have recorded information. I can show all my science friends my scientific findings. What should we start with first? I think I'm going to start with a strawberry first. Now remember, when I made my prediction, I thought the strawberry would float. Let's see what happens. Ready? I'm going to drop it very gently with my hands. Did it sink to the bottom, or did it float on top? It's floating. So now I can label on my graph. I could either draw a strawberry, and somebody might see this and be like, why is there a strawberry at the beach? It's a good question. There's my strawberry. Or if you don't want to draw it, you can always write the word. You know how. Strawberry. So now I put it on my graph. Strawberry. Next up, let's try this rock from your rock polishing work. Ready? I'm going to place it so gently. If you drop it from up high, what's probably going to happen? Big splash, a big mess, and it's probably going to fall to the bottom immediately. So we're going to try to set it as gently as we can. Do you see what happened to that rock? Went straight to the bottom. Let's try another one just to be sure. Let's try this bigger rock. Ready? So gently. Oh, straight to the bottom again. I think that means that rocks sink. So down here I'm going to put a rock. And I'm going to label it rock. Let's try our little wolf, our little plastic toy. Ready, Mr. Wolf? So gently. Another sinker. What else did I think would float? Oh yeah, our sponge and our magnets. Let's try a magnet. My magnets look like this. They're little plastic letters. I'm going to set it so gently on top of the water. Do you see it at the bottom? No, it's right on top. It's kind of hard to see. Let me set the other one down. Ready? They're floating right on top of the water. So magnets float. Magnets. Magnets. Magnets float. These are coins. I've got a quarter. Oh, a quarter almost sunk my magnet. And I've got a penny. It looks like all of the coins go straight to the bottom. Let's check this dime just to be sure. Yep, straight to the bottom. Maybe a lemon? Did you see that? Knocked my magnet down. Let's watch again. Ready? It goes to the bottom, but then it bounces back up. The lemon floats. When I made my prediction, I thought the lemon would sink. But now that I did this experiment, I know that it floats. Let me make sure I label that on my graph. That's an interesting finding. I didn't think that would happen. I'm gonna draw my lemon and label it. Lemon. Let me draw my coins in the sink section because they sunk. So interesting. I can't believe that lemons actually float. We still have a lot of objects to do, but we're running out of time. Maybe we should do some meditation. The lemon and the strawberry knocked my magnets down into the bottom. So now they're the only things floating. They're like the surfers at the beach. But the coins and the rocks, they sink. Kind of like a submarine. Or like maybe a starfish. I don't see a lot of starfish floating in the water. They're usually under the water. But maybe you can do some experiments at home and see what you have in your house that sinks or floats. Maybe some things can be both. Kind of like my tomatoes. Some of them were at the bottom, they sunk, but some of them were at the top, they were floating. We'll have to do some more experiments. Maybe your tomatoes only float. Now it's time for meditation. I'm gonna light the candle and we're gonna breathe in and out slowly together. When I blow the candle out, meditation is over and you can open your eyes. 1, 2, 3. Thank you for joining me for meditation today and for helping me to be a scientist. You've made some new discoveries. I wonder what other things you can discover at home. I hope you have a great day, Scientist Emma and Scientist Alaya. I hope Scientist Benson and Scientist Stone are studying very hard. Scientist Jacob and Scientist Sam, I miss you. Scientist Anthony is exploring the world, and Scientist Nina and Scientist Colette. I can't wait to see you guys again soon. Scientist Ollie is definitely doing some exploring and creating, I know that. Scientist Mila, Scientist Carmine, all my scientist friends. I miss you guys a lot. And I can't wait until we're together again. Have a great day.